Okay guys, today I've got a real live rant for you. I was doing some research and I came across some pretty disturbing info. So I've done all the heavy lifting for you guys and this is what I found. Now one thing, I'm not going to say that these numbers are absolute because I'm sure that at least one movie didn't get reported or maybe something got counted twice, something along those lines, but I will say that my numbers are pretty close to accurate. There were about 230 films released theatrically in the United States last year, 2014. Now, some of those are documentaries, which are supposed to document truth, but I can't remember the last time I watched a documentary that didn't lie for its own agenda, so different rant, different day. But let's say those are truthful. I am going to remove those from our current count. Now this brings us down to 219 films. So once again, I removed 11 films from the count that were documentaries that released last year theatrically in the United States. I have 219 films left. Now out of the 219 left, 132 of them are either a sequel, a prequel, a remake, a reboot, or some sort of adaptation. Whether that be from a book, a short story, a short film, or a freaking children's hymn. Or it was based on true events, which I am still classifying as fictional storytelling. Now that leaves us with 87 films that didn't fess up to adapting in some way, shape, or form. Keep in mind this number also includes foreign films that were released in the United States, and most of those weren't adapted. My point is, I could inflate my numbers even higher if I wanted by removing the foreign films. Now, out of those 87 films, almost 75% of them had a budget sub $5 million. In other words, those are independent films being created by young independent filmmakers like you and I. I wish I could get $5 million for a film. But you get my point. So, just to recap the math, there were about 219 fictional films released last year, and 132 of them were not original. Out of the 87 that we have left, about 75% of those were sub $5 million in budget. That's about 65 films. That leaves 22 Hollywood films that actually had a budget and an original product. The most financially successful of those being Interstellar. Now I know, some of you are going to say something along the lines of,
"But Kyler, there's no such thing as an original concept anymore."
Well, I'm sorry to tell you, but that's just bullshit. Yeah, sure, there are only a handful of stories that you can actually write, but you can at least tell them in an original way, aka Interstellar. I want you to consider something. These are the top 10 grossing films of last year. You've got Transformers 4: Age of Extinction. This is the fourth movie in a franchise that's based off of a cartoon that is based off of a toy. Number 2, you've got Hobbit: Battle of the Five Armies. Now this is the third in a prequel trilogy to the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Each book of the Lord of the Rings gets one movie. The Hobbit, being the shortest book of them all, gets 3 movies. Number 3 was Guardians of the Galaxy. This is an adapted Marvel property that nobody even knew existed. Number 4 was Maleficent, which is based on a character everyone hated from a children's film almost 60 years ago. Number 5, The Hunger Games: Mockingjay Part 1. This is the first movie of the third part of what was a trilogy, but now is a quadrilogy. Number 6 is X-Men: Days of Future Past, and is possibly our worst offender ever. This is both a sequel to the prequel and a prequel to the original X-Men film, which is also the 4th installment of the original franchise. Number 7, Captain America: The Winter Soldier, sequel to an adapted Marvel property. Number 8, The Amazing Spider-Man 2. This is the sequel of a reboot of a trilogy of a comic book. Number 9, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. This is the sequel to the reboot of the reboot, which is also a prequel of the original films. And at number 10, we have an original movie based on work done by astrophysicists, Interstellar. Now look, I'm not saying that you can't adapt stuff. I've read plenty of stories that are worth adapting. I'm adapting a script on a short story right now. But go back and watch the list I just read to you. It's freaking ridiculous! Originality is dead in Hollywood. The hilarious thing is we'll actually go to movies we know we aren't going to like, and then complain about not liking them. We'll say something like, it's just $40 wasted. Yeah, but if you and 1 million people do that, that's $40 million the production company took in, and they think they did a good job. Anyways, originality is dead in Hollywood. It's just a matter of time before it all implodes. Think about it. Deuces.